Good morning, good people. Here we are with our 200 amp service upgrade. About to give you a run through on proper grounding of a 200 amp service. Okay, let's start with the end of the ground rod run, which is here. We have a 5/8 inch thick, 8-foot long solid copper rod that's been hammered down into the ground just below surface level here, and from there we have this ground rod clamp which connects this wire here. It goes out underground over to the next one to the ground rod. Now that is one solid piece of number 4 gauge wire which travels all the way back to the ground bust inside, which we're going to show you in a moment. So from that one we come over here roughly 7 feet over, and we have another ground rod, another ground clamp, same wire comes in here out the other side of this clamp and underground over to here, up the wall into the house here. From there we have this here comes in, up, goes over top of the ceiling, comes out here and loops around, lands on this grounding bus, copper grounding bus here. And this grounding bus is where all ground wires come together and branch out to their respective locations. So out of here we have another number 4 gauge wire comes out, goes up into this sub panel here and attaches onto the grounding bar of this sub panel, which that grounding bar is in turn bonded to the casing of the panel itself. No bonding screw in a sub panel. You don't want to bond the ground to the neutral at the sub panel level. So next we have the main panel ground wire, which goes out there, pops back out right here, goes up through this here grounding bus for the utility companies, phone, telephone, cable company, etc. They ground all of their equipment here, and goes through that, through, and boom, to right here, bonding to the neutral wire of the system itself. Neutral wire, return leg, grounded conductor, whichever you want to call it. But this is the only location in the system, entire electrical system, that should be bonded to the neutral, and that is right here at the main breakers. You see 200 amp breaker for 200 amp service. Now we also have a secondary grounding source, which is a wire that goes back to the water meter. The water meter, of course, the water pipeline comes into the house from underground, so therefore we also have a guaranteed source of bonding the system to ground. So in that case, what we have here is the secondary wire. You see they have it taped in green. I say they because this is the original from the last system that was here. Because in the case of this property, the water meter is way down on the other end of the property, in the basement, tucked away in the corner, and the cost factors of such a long run of, this is number 6 gauge wire, and ripping holes and patching them up inside the house to get the wire over to the water meter was too much, so we just kept this wire in place as was, bonded it to our copper grounding bus, and there we have our water meter ground, which brings our system up to code. So there you have it. I know some people are going to look and say, hey, you didn't put any arc fault breakers. That's because the way this house was wired, every home run was fed on a 3 wire, whereby every 2 circuits, every 2 hot wires are sharing one neutral, which is why in this case we have all, as you can see, 2-pole breakers servicing everything except for these two, which are arc faults, which are feeding these outlets here in the garage, which are also GFCI protected. So there you have it, a properly grounded 200 amp electrical service here in beautiful Woodbridge, New Jersey.